They're all dead. Don't have to wait this time, 'cause I'm giving up on my sense of will to be damn it.
What a difference a month makes. Welcome back, Hibiki Highspots. Totally different than usual. Usually have a guest on and they pick any topic, any era, any time in pro wrestling. But this one, way much shorter episode. But I had to just capitalize on this big, pun intended, news that came out yesterday. Something that I don't think anyone saw coming except the people involved in the actual signing and behind the scenes and in the know. And yeah, I mean, if you've been living under 15 fucking rocks, the Big Show, Paul Wight, no longer the Big Show, obviously, has signed with AEW. Man, you talk about, when you hear the term lifers in pro wrestling, a couple, company guys with WWE is what I mean by that. Certain people come to mind, Steve Austin, Taker, Kane, and the Big Show is definitely on that list for me. Well, he was, until this. The last we saw the Big Show was Legends Night a month ago on Monday Night Raw in a backstage segment. I don't know how I feel about this. Personally, yeah, I used to do an AEW show in here, but for me, I've fallen off of AEW. I say it all the time on this show, on Slam Pigs podcast. Any show I get a chance to be on, I've tried. I have tried so goddamn hard to invest in AEW. Very few times does it make me want to peek back in. The exploding barbed wire death match, I think, is a very ballsy, a very brash, and a very cool move, and I am looking forward to that. Other than that, AEW in general, whether it be Dark, Dynamite, whatever, is a very indie-rific company for me at the end of the day. And the bloom is off the rose as far as hype. And, you can debate it all you want, what they promised fans, that it would be a sports-centric themed show, streamlined New Japan style, whether it be an old JCP, WCW type show. When I watch Dynamite, for me personally, my own opinion, you guys are welcome to have any opinions you want on AEW, it's WCW Nitro 2000 levels for me. And I know that's harsh, but man, it's rough. But anyway, off topic, back to the matter at hand, this breaking news, so to speak. This is a good get for AEW. The problem is, it's all in how they use it. There's a right way and a wrong way to use a guy like the Big Show, to use a guy like a Sting, to use any of these, quote, legends from the past. There shouldn't be any, quote, Sting and the Big Show are legends, but you know what I mean. There's a right way and a wrong way to do this. Now, initially, a lot of people, they were under the assumption that he was just going to be in a commentator role for another newsworthy thing, that AEW Dark split in half now. Monday nights, AEW Dark Elevation on YouTube. Him and Tony Schiavone, yes, they will be commentating. But if people actually did that little thing called read and looked at the press release, yes, there is some in-ring competition in the Big Show, Paul Wight's future. I'm going to stop calling him the fucking Big Show. I can't do that anymore. They obviously can't. I don't think they're going to change his name, by the way. This guy's so ingrained to having that Big Show name. He's not on a mainstream level like The Rock or Austin or Hogan or any of those guys. But I feel like 65 to 70% of the general public, when they see this guy, just based on his size, or they've even heard the name Big Show for the last 22 years, this guy was in the thick of things at the ultra heights of the Attitude Era, they know he's a pro wrestler. But if you read the press release, yeah, like I said, he's going to be having some sporadic matches. And that gets back to what I was saying earlier about there's a right way and a wrong way to use the Big Show. The wrong way we've seen play out for the past couple years when he was still full-time on the roster, the awful Authority era between him and Kane, just shoehorned in for no goddamn reason. And it's, man, for me personally, since like 2012, dare I say 2011, Big Show has had go away heat for me. whether it be in that terrible John Laurinaitis storyline when he feuded with Cena, and just, like I said, the authority and just anything they put him in. For me, the last good thing the Big Show did in WWE was that feud, and not the matches weren't great, that feud with Mark Henry, when Mark Henry had his world title run, the Incredible Hall of Pain gimmick, which I love to this day. It was great. And they broke the ring. That was the last bit of relevancy the Big Show had for me. Other than that, I mean, 2014, the road to WrestleMania 30, I remember them, or Royal Rumble that year, I think, they just fed him to Brock, and Brock annihilated him, and Brock would obviously go on to beat Taker in the streak. I don't know, man. The Big Show, like I said, 22 years is a long time. Definitely the end of an era in this company for the Big Show. Enough skirting around the issue, though. Do I think this is a needle mover for AEW? No, I don't. Do I think it's a good get? Yes, I do. I think this guy obviously has a lot of experience. He can give a lot of advice backstage. I also could probably see him in that agent role. I can only imagine the amount of money that they dished out to this guy. And you can deny it all you want. Vince McMahon cannot be happy about this. I don't think a lot of people realize that AEW is a bigger pimple on his ass. A lot of the WWE cultists, Vince doesn't care about AEW. Vince cares. Trust me, they're on prime time. They have obviously a huge money backer, and they get TNT gives a shit about AEW. I mean, if you watch any other show on any day of the week on TNT, you will see at least one commercial for Dynamite, usually more times than not within those commercial breaks for that show, no matter what time of day it is usually. I don't think it's a needle mover. I think it's a good get. It's structure-wise for the company backstage. Paul Wight, at the end of the day, has always seemed like the nicest guy to me. Can't hate on the Big Show. I can't hate on. Yeah, I did it again. Fucking called him the Big Show. I can't hate on Paul Wight for wanting to make that money. And there's reports coming out that he wasn't happy. God only knows in that company why he wasn't happy. Pick your poison, right? We've seen this play out before with Edge, and he didn't come out and say it, but he had a meeting with Tony Khan. Tony Khan offered him a huge lump sum of money, and then Edge went to Vince McMahon and said, look, you did right by me and you helped me make my name. This is what they offered. And he leveraged Vince. And that turned out in Edge's favor to be one of the most lucrative deals they've ever given to a talent. Do I think Edge personally is worth that amount of money? I know people love the comeback story. And yeah, it's a great story. I'm super happy for the guy. But Edge is not a Mount Rushmore guy. Edge is not a top face of the company guy. I give it 6 months, if that, before people start turning on Edge. If he wins the belt, if he doesn't, the more they put him on TV, it's easier for fans to turn on him. And that's what would happen with Paul Wight too in AEW. I feel like cherry pick when you want to use him, make it matter when you use him. God help me, Jesus fucking Christ, if we get Shaq versus the Big Show. I can't think of one person who literally wanted to see that match then in WWE, because I didn't, and wants to see it now when these guys are, 10 years older, 11 years older. End of the day, I'm happy for him. It's a good get, and we'll see what plays out with Paul Wight in AEW. I logged on to Twitter yesterday, and you know the memes when someone will Photoshop in the infamous so-and-so is all elite picture, and I saw this, and it wasn't from the AEW Twitter account. It was from other, sources in the IWC and stuff. And I thought it was a joke. I was like, yeah, right. I mean, of all the people, lo and behold, after I woke up and I spent about less than 5 minutes scrolling Twitter, there it was. Paul Wight, the AEW put it out. Yes, this is official. It's not a prank. It's not a joke. I didn't watch Dynamite last night. I don't know if he was on the show. I don't think he was, but man, it's shocking. This is shocking. It's we're one step away from a Steve Austin is all elite thing or Undertaker is all elite. It's just that I was that blindsided when I saw this. Like I said, this is a company guy. It was in my eyes a lifer, and Paul Wight is all elite, man. It's really strange. It's really strange. Now, do they continue this trend with other long-term WWE guys they bring in? We'll see. I think they will. I mean, I think they're totally full of shit at the end of the day. We've seen statements they made we're not just going to sign guys that are released from WWE, and we're not going to be TNA and all this stuff. Kind of. You can't say they're not kind of doing that. I'm not going to say they're fully doing it, but it's a gray area on if they're doing that or not. But at the end of the day, it's business. It's business, and if you're on a mainstream network like that, you want to grab as many casual eyes as you can. I feel like the Big Show, by far, is going to grab way more casual fucking eyes than Kenta, who, in my opinion, He's moved negative needles since being on AEW. It's been a wet fart. The only people that caters to are the hardcore niche fans that love New Japan Pro Wrestling. I love New Japan Wrestling. Don't get me wrong, but that is not a mainstream product. I don't know if Kenta, it was their intent to make that mainstream. I don't think it was. I think it was just to enhance this partnership and the Moxley storyline and all that. But this is a much bigger coup than a Kenta. I don't know if it's not a bigger coup than Sting. I mean, when Sting debuted on Dynamite, Jesus Christ, the next day, Highspots had WrestlingTees.com, ProWrestlingTees.com had its biggest sales ever for that Sting shirt in history, that All Elite Sting shirt or whatever, the first one. I don't think Paul Wight merch is going to do quite those numbers at all, but we'll see. That's it. That's Hibiki. Oh my God, my own show. I fucked it up. Hibiki Highspots special episode on the breaking news of Paul Wight signing to All Elite Wrestling. We'll see how it plays out. Until then, hit that red button down below, subscribe, all the goodness, retro gaming, pro wrestling, heavy metal podcast, Terry Bollea bullshit, all the goodness, and get your official Hibiki TMD merch. New shirts coming, I promise. We're updating the store soon. I know there's shirts of shows that don't even exist anymore there, but I swear on everything sacred that we're going to get that updated for you in the coming month or two. Union Smacked Up, DaveCartel.com, and as always on Twitter at the Hibiki TMT. Until next time, Hibiki Highspots. See you then.